Hi everybody, this is Della with Gillespie Florists, and I'm going to do an unboxing video today with flowers. I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube when they're unboxing toys, and they're really popular, and I thought, hey, I think that unboxing some flowers would be a lot more fun and a lot more interesting. Probably not, but hey, I mean, why not? You guys might actually find it a little bit interesting to see what all goes into unboxing a box of our flowers as they come from the wholesaler, and then how we process them and get them into buckets and water and all that fun stuff. So anyways, today what I've got is a box of Alstroemeria, and maybe if this goes well, maybe then some other time I'll do some other flowers, because Alstroemeria is actually a pretty easy one to do, but I thought I better keep it easy on myself here. So so anyways, here we go. I'll try to stay within view of the camera. I may go out a little bit. I tried to get as wide of a shot as I could. So anyway, so this is the box of flowers here. There's almost always a strap. As you can see, I'm pulling the box up here with the strap. And I'm going to cut that open first. And what the box is actually sitting on here is we bought a bunch of you ever go to the hotel and they have a luggage like holder thing? That's what we use, is those luggage rack things that they have in the hotel room to keep your suitcase up high for you. So they've actually come in pretty handy. We've got them all over the place in here. Okay, so there's another strap inside here, which is very typical. I'm just going to gently cut that open because I don't want to hurt any of the flowers. And to help protect the flowers, they add in, some tissue or paper. Sometimes it's newspaper. It just depends on the company. So, and actually, depending on the time of year, like during the winter time, we'll save that extra wrap that they send in these boxes to help wrap some of our funeral arrangements and stuff like that, because when the temperatures get below freezing, you can't just walk out with flowers exposed in the wintertime. And for funeral arrangements, you really don't need a really nice wrap, so a lot of times we'll save the wrap that we get in these boxes and reuse it to wrap funeral arrangements and to protect them. So we're being green without actually meaning to be green. So, okay, so here's a bunch of Alstroemeria, and sometimes too you might see Alstroemeria in the supermarket like this, and a wrap like this. So basically, I don't know if you can tell there in the picture, but they're pretty wimpy and floppy there. So what we're going to do is we're going to get them cut, put into a bucket, and check to see if there's any leaves that we need to pull off or anything like that. So but before we get them into the bucket, we've got to fill up the bucket with water. So before I started the video, I went ahead and I washed a couple of buckets just to make sure they were nice and clean. So if you're wondering, how do we wash a bucket? Well, we use super hot water, we use bleach, and a little bit of dish soap. Some florists don't like to use any dish soap at all. There's actually other solutions out there that doesn't include any bleach at all, but we've been doing bleach for years and years. We really believe in it, and the dish soap is really just kind of an extra measure. I personally think the bleach and hot water is plenty enough. But anyways, let me get this filled up. Okay, and what I'm adding to the bucket of water before I fill it up with water is some powdered flower food, and this is going to help the longevity of the flowers. Not just here in the store, but also once it gets home too. This is a good treatment for the flowers, just to help the longevity of life. Okay, so I always fill up one bucket all the way, and then I just take my other bucket and I just share the water with the other. So And then also what I do is I like to use a pretty warm solution of water. Some people don't. They like to use the cooler, but I want to make sure that these flowers are going to start drinking up as quickly as possible, and a good way to do that is to provide them with some warm water. Now if you're doing something like tulips, you may not want to do that, or daffodils, things like that, iris. All those are flowers that they do tend to pop really quick, and you don't want them to open up too quickly so that the customer can't enjoy it. So that is something to watch out for, even at home. So if you're cutting your flowers and at home and it's lilies, carnations, roses, things like that, warm water's good. But if it's iris, daffodils, things of that nature, you might want to go ahead and cut it, to use cooler water. So, okay. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off these. There's 2 sets of rubber bands here. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull the wrap off too. Basically, we always pull the wrap off unless we know that we've got an order that we've got a customer picking up where they need a certain number of bunches of flowers. Then we'll go ahead and leave the wrap on so they can see, yes, you got X number of bunches of flowers. But otherwise, for designers, they just usually need a few stems of each individual flower, so they don't like to have to mess with getting into bunches and breaking them apart and all that fun stuff. So once you've got your rubber bands cut, you got your wrap pulled off, and you can see there's a little bit of extra leafage here, and I'm just going to pull a little bit of this off. Now it isn't going to interfere with the water, which is what you're really concerned about, because you don't want to have any additional decay with leaves being in the water. So really on stems like this, you don't have to really worry about pulling some of the leaves off, but they are so wimpy that's why I'm going ahead. I'm just pulling some of them off there. So now we're ready to go ahead and cut the flowers themselves. So we've got a flower cutter. I think you can see it back there. Yeah, it's right back here. It's this big blue thing. So this is what we use to cut our flowers. Just like that, real simple, real easy. Put it into the bucket. So and the cool thing about our flower cutter is it will hold water. It doesn't have water right now because actually I'm just doing this one box of flowers, but we can fill it up with water, and that is best to cut your flower stems underwater if you have the opportunity to do that. But if you don't, then just simply cutting them and getting them into water as quickly as possible is going to help too. So, and it's really neat. We actually have a guy locally who sharpens our flower cutter for us a couple times a year. His name is Bob Robert Verbeek, and I forget the name of his knife sharpening company, but he sharpens just about anything and everything. So, and he actually comes in and he hand sharpens our flower cutter for us, so we know it's nice, good, and sharp, and ready to go. As you can see, I'm closing up the box here. We do save these boxes. We don't throw them away. We take them back to the wholesalers, and they'll reuse these boxes time and time again until pretty much they're falling apart. I don't think that anybody really intended it to be, saving the earth or any type of green thing. It's just, practical. Why make more boxes when there's perfectly good ones out there to use? So it's kind of cool that it is something that, even though it wasn't meant to be something green, that it is a green thing that we do, that we save as many boxes as we can. That doesn't mean that we always can, but we do have a recycling dumpster that we use too. So when we can't save the boxes, then we do recycle them. So one way or another, we actually are being green there. So I'm going to put this box up on the shelf so we can return it to the wholesalers later. And then I'll show you the flowers in the bucket. And you can see the finished, not finished product, but I guess finished up to this point. So. Okay, so here we go. So here's the flowers. This is a really deep purple Alstroemeria, and you know, a lot of our flowers come in looking like this. They don't look too hot right now. They are kind of wimpy, but with the nice warm water and with the flower food, they're going to perk right up here in just a few hours, and they're going to look beautiful by tomorrow. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope it was educational for you, and join me next time. I'll unbox another type of flower for you. Thanks for joining me today, and you guys have a great afternoon.